Ani Bojo, Nuichki Yik. Hello, my friends. Facebook. Nuichki Yik. My Facebook friends. Aha. Get you in, dumb. No, Mangok. Happy to see you all. Oh, ha. Okay, so I'm going to carry on with the bear. This is how far I got since I last saw you. Did some detail work on his face with a little tongue sticking out. He's a naughty bear. I saw this on another post on a Facebook carving, and I said, that's awesome. That little bear there, eh? Let's see if we can get him in there. Well, you know, I'm sure you can see it. So tonight, I want to share with you another story that has to do with carving. You know, for my my awesome carving friends, woodworking friends. And while we're doing that, I'm going to work on touching up this little bear, doing the touch-ups. Now, miigwech. Thank you. So, I'm going to pull out the old, good old flex cut. Okay, now I need to ask you guys a question. I got a pair of these in a kit. This one is a sheep's foot, and this one's a pointy, I don't know what you call it. So which one is a detail knife? I use this one here, the sheep's foot, for, you know, just taking off chunks and getting rid of big pieces, eh? It's really strong and durable. And this one I try to use for getting in those tight spots. And I think this is the detail knife, eh? Yeah, well, that's what I use it for. So let's get to work here. So right now I'm working on the head. I rounded off the head a bit. I'm trying to get rid of these flat spots, eh? You see these flat spots? I don't like them, so I'm going to round it off a bit. And I'll get into the story. This particular story we call Wigwas. It's a Wigwas story. And it was shared with me a long time ago, this one. And it's one of my favorites because it's a family story, eh? And I just love family stories to share. And yeah, there's going to be some people who protest against me sharing our traditional stories and teachings on this media platform, and that's okay, you know. Everybody's entitled to it, to their opinion anyway, but I'm not worried about it. I'm a Anishinaabe, eh? Minido Minising Dunjaba, Mino Awakomakong Mino Chigina Dunjaba, Makordo Dam. So that's my introduction. I just want the ones who have issues with me sharing stories with non-natives. You know, just you know, we're not on this planet forever, and I believe that our stories are so important to the preservation. I can't even say that word. Preservation, preserving. You know, preserving our cultural ways. You know, and I don't want to be limited to anger or jealousy or resentment or be a have-not kind of guy, you know. I grew up with a whole bunch of my family members and a whole bunch of other Anishinaabe in life, and, you know, I don't see them out there sharing our beautiful culture. You know, it's so important that we share what we have, eh? It's good medicine. Why not share it? You know, it's not like I'm not making no money on this. This is all volunteer. This is all being a helper. I'm not making a profit. I'm not getting any kind of benefit out of doing this, like monetary gain or some kind of fame. I don't know many storytellers in my time who are getting rich. You know, being themselves. Oh, you know, talking about themselves and their people. So I just wanted to clarify that, I'm all about preserving our culture, preserving our, sharing and expanding our medicine out there, Our good medicine. That's what I'm about. I'm all about being a helper. And if I offend you, any natives out there, the purest type of mindset natives, hey, you can always check out another video. There's lots out there, Or you can always go to ceremonies and get these stories and teachings, That's another way to do it, But I'm just talking and I'm sharing and I am being a helper. Helping myself to remember who I am and hopefully helping improve somebody else's life, And that's what it's all about for me. Enough of that. Wow, me got to go. That's it, that's all. I'm done with that topic. So, right now I'm just doing some detail work and I'm just having fun. Slowing down. It's like 12 a.m. right now. Shataha. No one's home, it's just me. The family went away to go see the family for the holidays, so I'm at home alone. You know the old saying, When Wabagan OG is away, Gajag will play. That means when the cat is away, the mouse will play. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm playing. Because the little woman and Quaysance are out and about. So, let's get on with storytelling, shall we? I don't know if you can hear the fireplace in the background, but it's crackling away, having a good time. Long time ago. News, long ago. I don't know why I always start my stories like that, I like that. Long time ago, trying to get into the picture here so you can see what I'm doing. This is about carving, right? So I want to talk about a story, a traditional story that my great uncles told me. And I think it's a very appropriate story for my carving buddies out there, my carving family, I'll call you, if that's okay. There was this old lady, we call her Nokomis. Nokomis. That means grandmother. And grandmother was given she chose to raise her grandson, because the grandson's mother had passed away from broken heart. Her name was Winona. And Winona, trying to get into frame here. Let's see if I can bring it down a bit more. Sorry about that, guys. Technical difficulties here. Let's see if that works. Trying to be comfortable. Okay, I can see myself. Yeah, okay, that looks good. So Winona is the mother, and she had passed away from broken heart syndrome too. And her husband was a Pingishmuk. He's a spirit in the West. And he's a spiritual being. And a Pingishmuk was called by the Creator to return back to work, back to his job. He has a very big job. He's a thunderer, a Pingishmuk. We use that in our prayer now. In our ceremonies, we acknowledge a Pingishmuk as the spirit of the western direction. He's the guardian, thunderer. He fell in love with a human, and he had 4 children. The youngest is Nanabush, Papiquis is the next one, Chibiabus, and and then Majikwas, the 4 brothers. The 3 brothers, when they were born, they went off to each direction to take care of each direction and do their job. Nanabush, being half human and half spiritual being, he did his job, and his job was to travel across the land and name everything in creation. So that's Nanabush. He's a cultural hero to our people. I explained this in the last storytelling event, but I'm going to do it again for those who missed out. Okay, so you have Nanabush, and he's being raised by his grandmother, Nokomis. And Nokomis, she's really smart, like so much love. She's basically, in my opinion, Nokomis is a being of love. Can you imagine meeting somebody like that? Boy, oh boy, that's a powerful person. Just all about love, 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 kindness, respect, truth, honesty, all those good medicines, compassion, teachings, helping. Oh, that's a powerful being. And she was raising her boy, her grandson, Nanabush. She asked Nanabush to go out and do some hunting. We need some food, she said, We gotta store some food away. Winter's coming. Bibon, the spirit of the winter. He's coming around with his helpers. Chinolden, Zokponolden, and the other ones. So there he is. He takes off. He gets his bundled all together, his tools, and he's off and going. Nanabush, Nokomis, she's all by herself to take care of the camp. And she realizes, oh yeah, we got to get some supplies. I need some more water. I need some good medicine. I got to pick some medicine. I need some chaga. Whoops. Oh, I thought I would have cut there. Sorry. I need some good medicine, Yeah, I better go get some medicine, but nobody's here to watch the camp, she's thinking to herself, I'm going to go ask this beautiful, beautiful white tree, Wopskim Mythic, for its assistance, to be my helper. So she walks up to the tree, and there's a pure white tree, just so, it's so shiny, So shiny white. And she knocks on the wood, on the bark, nagik. Papa say, She's rapping on the bark. Papa say, hey, Nishke, wake up. Look. And the tree wakes up and goes, hey, Nokomis, hey, Bojo, hey, what's going on? I was just sleeping there. She says, I know, I need your help. Not emotion, Daga. Help me, please. Oh, that beautiful white tree says to the old lady, Nokomis, well, what can I do for you? How can I help you? I'd be honored to help you. I know you two-leggeds, Very special beings. Yeah, what can I do? And so Nokomis says to him, well, I'm going to go off and go get some nibe down at the lake. That means water, nibe. And while I'm down there, I'm going to be away from the camp for a while because I have to, it's heavy water I have to carry all the way back to camp. And the tree goes, but Dexago, of course. I'm going to help you. Ha ha. Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy to help you out, that tree says, Nahau, chimigwech. Nokomiskakadok. She said, thank you. And off she went. Down to the lake. To go get her water and her medicines and, different supplies that Nokomis needs. Well, there's that beautiful tree, eh? He's looking at the camp and seeing just how perfect it is, eh? Everything is in its place. And he's looking at the day. He's watching the sun go by and the shadows moving. And time is just moving on. And you know how young people are, eh? Young people, they need to be stimulated. Well, the only stimulation that this beautiful tree has is the birds singing their honor songs for the day and saying their gratitude songs, eh? Well, hey, RW, welcome back, my friend. I'm telling the story about the birch tree. So, where was I? Yeah, so that tree, he's looking around. And, all of a sudden he passes out. He starts getting sleepy, and then finally he falls asleep. He just passed right out. Forgot all about his promise to that old lady in Nokomis. And he fell asleep. And as soon as he fell asleep, guess who showed up? The trickster. This is a different trickster, not Nanabush. This is a different one. And the trickster shows up. A little coyote, eh? And he sees there's no humans. He can't smell any humans, an old scent. But that's it. And he's going, oh, look at this. This camp has been abandoned. Oh, cool, man. I'm going to go check it out. I'm sure I could find something in here to occupy me. Remember, the trickster, he likes to make trouble. That's how he teaches, eh? Teaches people by making trouble. So, the trickster, the coyote, we'll call him, he goes into the camp and he starts, smelling things out and checking things out, making sure that everything's coast and clear. And I want to make sure you guys can see me, so I'm going to bend it down just a tad bit more. Like that. Okay. I think that's a better view for you guys, I hope. I can't see the screen now. He goes inside her lodge, into Grandma's lodge, Nokomis and Dot. Nokomis' wigwam. And he's inside and he's amazed, eh? He's looking around and he's checking things out and he's like, oh my goodness, look at this. And he goes, oh, look at that moccasins hanging up there. Oh, that's a great chew toy. And he jumps up there and he pulls them off with the hook and starts chewing them up. Beautiful, beautiful moccasins that Grandma makes. And he sees the baskets and he goes, oh, look at that. Look at this. These baskets. I'm going to play with them. There's some kind of toy or something. And he starts swinging them around and biting on them. Yeah. And he does this. And he goes over through everything. He finds clothing and he chews it up and rolls around in it and pees in it and all this weird stuff, He's having a party all by himself. Party of one. Next thing you know, he gets bored. And he goes, oh, yeah. But before he takes off, he smells something. Medium. And it's been hidden in a hole with a big rock on top of it. Like a big rock on top of it, eh? So he starts digging on the side of the rock. And he starts digging on this side. But he can't get through, eh? He needs help. So he takes off. And his timing is perfect. Because as he's taking off, who shows up with the water? Nokomis. She appears into the camp and she looks around and she drops her water buckets, her nibek, and she's just shocked. She has this gut feeling something's wrong. And she goes inside her lodge, and there, to her surprise, she sees the damage done to her beautiful home. She comes breaking out of her lodge door, and she bangs on to, boom, knocking, rapping. She grabs a big branch and she starts swinging it at the tree like this, knocking on the tree. And the tree wakes up. Hey, Nokomis, how's it going, Anishnagegi? How are ya? Anishin Kamagak, what's happening? He has no clue what just happened. And Nokomis points at her lodge. And he's like, oh no, Nokomis, what happened? You fell asleep. You promised me that you would watch my lodge. You would watch my land, my territory. But you broke your promise, buddy. I'm very angry. I'm angry. Oh, Nagisa Dendam, I feel terrible. I feel sad. I feel, Kawinunjida. I'm so sorry. That beautiful white tree tried to apologize, but he knew the damage was already done. There was nothing he could do about it. And so did Nokomis. So Nokomis said, well, I gotta take off again. And I gotta get more supplies to fix up this mess now and replace a lot of my stuff, the moccasins, and I gotta, salvage what's usable. Oh, the beautiful tree, the beautiful white tree with the perfect white bark. Felt terrible. A failure. Never felt this before, and he didn't like it. So he promised the old lady, the old Dimwe, good old woman, Min Dimwe, Nokomis. Give me another chance. Give me another chance. I beg of you, please. I won't fail you this time. I won't fail. So Nokomis said, all right, No one's perfect. I understand that. I'm going to work on the belly now at the bottom. Try to round it up. So see how this is, before I start the story, see how it is? It's all like this, eh? And somebody asked me an interesting question. How do I make it round? So, I remembered, I have a native artist friend, like myself, and this is what, she taught me. So, the edges were like this, eh? It's all sharp, 90 degree, yeah, like that. And what she taught me was, if you cut the paper like that, a little bit at a time, straight cuts, eventually you're going to end up with a roundness. So I apply that same technique to the artwork that she uses with birch bark baskets and drawings and such. See how I'm doing just straight cuts with the scissors? I hope you can see that. And I'm getting a round. See how now it's round? And that was all straight cuts. And I try to apply the same technique to rounding these sections, eh? Make it a little rounder. Like, look at the head. There. There's the head. And so it's kind of rounded, eh? I rounded it off because I use that same technique of just straight cuts. And I make micro cuts, eh? I really like micro cuts. There's a lot of guys that will just like get right into it. Like, let me see if I can see that. They'll just cut like this, boom. Get big chunks, eh? I don't like that big chunks because I'm not that confident with my ability, eh? Trying to get it centered here. So what I do is I'll cut a little sliver, and then I'll work this end, a straight cut here. And then I'll flip it over here, and I'll work it on this end, and just a sliver, eh? I work slivers. And I'll work another sliver until I like what I see, eh? And I'll just keep working it. around like this. And eventually, it gets pretty rounded, eh? Nice and round here. Instead of like flat and flat. Like that's flat, flat, right? Now it's rounded. So I try to apply the same technique that my lady friend, artist, taught me, eh? And I use that same technique with the wood. And I work on slivers, eh? I work in micro cuts, micro slivers, or I don't know what the terminology is. I'm still learning the lingo of carving. But I just little tiny slivers like that. I wish there was a way I can post this, like see what I'm doing on the big monitor here. I have to bend over and try to see through, what do you call it? Through the little screen on this phone business. Okay, so where was I in the story? Oh, yeah. So the White Tree was begging Nokomis for another chance. And Nokomis, you know, she's being a love. She's being a kindness. She's awesome, Nokomis, you know. She's amazing. And she gives him another chance. She says, okay, that's cool, you know. Nahodish, Ninisitum, you're young. I understand that you're young. I'll give you another chance, sure. So she gets her bundle all together and she heads out again. And she's confident that this beautiful white tree is going to keep his word this time, eh? See, I'm doing little push cuts, eh? Just slivers. I'm not worried about time, eh? I'm just taking my time. I'm enjoying this. I really enjoy cutting slivers. And while she's gone, the white tree is really committed this time. He's saying to himself, I'm going to do it this time. He's talking himself into it, eh? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And so that's what he does, eh? He stays awake. And he's staying alert. And he's doing everything he can to stay awake. He's staying away from things that will lull him back to sleep or boredom. He's trying his best. But he's a tree, for goodness sake, you know. Trees like to sleep. They're very slow. They're not like humans at all. They have a different existence. A different way about them. And of course, what happens? He falls asleep. And as he's sleeping, this time, real heavy this time, because he's tired, who comes back to the camp that's been somewhat fixed up, somewhat cleaned up? It's Coyote, the trickster. He comes back. But guess what? He's not alone. No. He's got company. He invited his buddy. His buddy's named Wagush. If you remember from the last story, him and Wagush were going after those mucky from the last story I shared. Wagush is the one with the crooked back, the crooked being, eh? And we call him in English a fox. That sly old fox. Well, he's there right beside there, Mr. Coyote. And he's excited. Wagush is so happy. Why? Because it's true. Everything that the Coyote told him is true. That there is a camp, and it has all kinds of chew toys, and it has all kinds of things to play with. Oh, I gotta turn off my... There we go. Sorry about that. That was my alarm. I don't know how much time we have been going here, but those guys are really, really happy. And what do? Well, the first thing that they do is they could break inside the lodge. And Grandma tried to reinforce that door, but they found a way in. They dug underneath the ground and broke in. And they saw leather works. They saw woodworks. They saw baskets, pottery, all tucked away nice and neat. And they saw broken stuff too, eh? But they ignored that. And they went after the brand new stuff. And they chewed on stuff and peed and ripped things apart and played tug of war, just like mischief boys, eh? They ripped it all. Poor Granny, man. When she sees this mess, oh boy, I don't know how she's going to handle that one. And then Coyote told Wagush, "Hey, do you smell that? Do you smell that?" And he goes, "Yeah, what is that? It smells so good." He goes, "It's underneath this big flat rock on the ground. We got to figure out a way to get in there." So they dig together. They dig a big hole, and the rock shifts. And they dig a little more, and the rock shifts. And eventually, the rock starts to move on its own, leaving a little gap so they can wiggle in there, eh? And pull out whatever that is inside. And that's what they do. They pull out pemmican, they pull out venison, they pull out dry fish, they pull out berries, you name it. All this traditional food, eh, of Grandma's, that she works so hard to make, eh? Smoked meat. All kinds of breads, made from the different plants. All kinds of teas and herbs, medicines. And they feast. Oh, they haven't eaten this good in so long. And they eat, and they eat, and they eat like little cocoa swads. They live like pigs. And they're just gobbling everything they can get their hands on. And eventually they get bored once they're done. They're like, "Oh man, I'm full. We totally wrecked this place, man. This place is just like, yeah. We did everything we can to this place. Let's go find some more trouble somewhere else," they said, eh? And off they took off, and they left a mess. Well, Grandma came back eventually, and she was in shock. And she went up to that tree, grabbed her stick, and she banged on the bark, just whacking it like a baseball player. Can you see an old woman hitting a tree? Oh my goodness, that's a funny image. Real old woman. I guess her swing wouldn't be that hard, but still, her intention was made clear. She was pissed. Nishkadze, real angry. The tree woke up and said, "Hey, Grandma, what's going on?" A big yawn from the tree. "What's going on, Grandma?" Oh my goodness. He looked around and saw that, dilapidated. The lodge was ready to fall over. And all of her belongings were spread out all over the grounds. Destroyed. And you could just see her. She was so upset and so disappointed. There was like a tear coming out of her eyes. She was trying to contain that raw emotion, that it was so natural for Grandma to be this way, eh? But she couldn't help it. She was really, really hurt. And she yelled at that tree, "You promised, you broke your promise again. Oh, what am I going to do now? I got to start everything. I got to build a brand new camp. I got to tear this one down and start all over. And I don't have no helper. My grandson is away. He won't be back for many days. I lost my fish. I lost my venison. I lost all my food, all my medicines. Are all scattered all over. They're useless. I can barely put together a t-shirt, a shirt, or a dress, or a skirt, because everything is destroyed." And so, well, Grandma there, she's just so upset. And these little birds are laughing at Grandma. Because what Grandma did now was she went over to the pine tree and she grabbed a big handful branch right off the pine, just ripped it off. You know, the anger does that, eh? Gives you power, strength. And she grabbed that branch of pine needles and branch, and she started spanking. Can you imagine what it looks like to see an old ancient woman spanking a tree, punishing it? It's a comical sight, but not to Grandma. She really wanted to teach this tree a lesson about breaking his promise. And the weird thing about it was Grandma's medicine was so strong that when those needles touched that beautiful white bark, it left these markings in it. Real fine cut marks, in that bark. And the birds were laughing at this image. They were up in the tree branches watching this old lady spanking this gigantic white tree. And they were laughing away at this image, They thought it was hilarious. Well, Grandma didn't like those laughters, those birds laughing at her. So she did her song. She did this real special song to put them to sleep. And it goes something like this. Nebano ango benesi neba da 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 neba benesi nango heyo, something like that, Well, that magic song she sang put those birds to sleep, and they fell down, and Grandma walked up to those birds and picked them up, and she threw them against the bark. Splat! And they splatted. They fell down to the ground. They woke up, and they said, "Holy heck, man, this old lady, she's crazy. Gil not ze." And they flew away from that old Grandma. And she picked up another bird, and she threw it. And sometimes, when the bird smacked against the bark, it made an imprint, either of its wing sometimes another bird would imprint its whole body, or just its head, or sometimes it would just be a feather. Either way, it left an imprint of itself inside that bark of that beautiful white tree. Well, that tree started crying out, "Grandma, I'm so sorry. Forgive me. Kawin unjira. Bigin toshin. Forgive me." Well, Grandma finally spent all her anger, and she was tired, and she thought, this is useless. I got to get to work. I can't stay in this state too long. It's not good for me. It's not good for my heart. Not good for my spirit. So she stopped. And the birds were okay. They flew away. And Grandma went to work. She worked hard. But she chose her camp in a different area, this time, away from that tree, Because every time she saw that tree, with all those punishment marks on it, the slashes, the little pin slashes, and from the pine needles, and the birds being splatted against the bark, she felt remorse. She felt sad, a little bit of regret, maybe, I don't know, for punishing that tree like that, when it was just being a tree, and giving it a job that wasn't meant for a tree. Well, she started her new camp somewhere else, and that tree just stood there, looking and thinking, I miss Grandma's company. I miss her songs. I miss her laughter. I miss her good vibration, So to this day, from that day forward, that beautiful tree, we call it wigwas. Well, wigwas has made the promise that it will never ever break its promise ever to the two-legged people, the two-legged beings, human beings, right? And from that day forward, it has always given of itself. It has never stopped giving of itself. So if you look at the wigwas, Every part of that tree is sacred. It's very sacred and special. For example, the birch, just the bark itself, you can make a beautiful fire. You know, you can take that bark, roll it up, and put it into a container, the bark, put another container underneath it with a little hole to, in between the two containers. I wish I could show you. There's one container here, one container here. The top container has a little pinhole on top, and this container on top is covered. So it's going to cook, eh? You put it all into a fire. And that bark will turn into a charcoal. And all the oil, that sweet, rich oil, will drip down into the little hole, into the catching container below. And that is good medicine. Good medicine. Excellent bug repellent, eh? Good for your hair, good for making poultices, medicine poultices. It's got a lot of medicinal qualities. You could even make a lantern with that stuff. With that oil from the birch. Another thing about that birch is, you can make transportation vehicles with it. A canoe. You can make backpacks. You can make, pots and plates with it. You can even make clothing. That art I haven't seen yet much of. But I've heard you can actually make some pretty cool clothes with that bark. What else can you do with the birch? Well, you can tap it just like a maple tree, eh? It has its season to be tapped. And you can get some beautiful survival drink out of that, eh? It's got full of micronutrients. And if you ever have no clean water around you, tap a birch tree. You'll get some good water out of that. What else can you get from the birch? What else does the birch tree promise to give us, two-legged, to help us? Well, there's one medicine in there. And it's helped a lot of tribes, a lot of people, the ancestors, is you can actually eat the bark, the inner bark, eh? It's a spongy bark. You can dry that, pound it into a flour, and mix it with other berries and fat, and you got yourself a nice little cake, a food source. One of the best things I ever learned about the birch, and this was practiced by one of my relatives. He was out there collecting wood for the elders. That's what he does, eh? He's an amazing helper for the family. And he wasn't paying attention. Chainsaw cut his leg real bad. He thought he broke his leg, eh? So what he did was he went out to the bush, got this moss, and he wrapped this moss around his cut leg real bad. And then he got some birch bark, and he had soaked that birch real quick, in a pot. And he wrapped that birch bark in strips around his, like big chunk strips, around his cut. And he sat by the fire there, and he dried it up, and as it was drying, it was starting to compress and get hard. And it turned into a cast, and it held that poultice in place. So it saved his legs from being amputated. That's what the doctors told him, eh? This is my older cousin told me this. I was amazed. And he still has that scar today on his leg. I was so impressed with his ability to save his leg. Most people would just take their chances and run and bleed out, trying to make it out of the bush. So I made a cast. So I did some research and I asked other elders about the birch. How's it used as a medicine? And one old lady told me, she said, if you ever cut yourself, you can actually make a real thin strip of that birch. And you can use it as a Band-Aid. And it has a medicine qualities in it that will activate your white blood cells. And I'm like, is that true? That's amazing. I did not know birch had medicinal qualities better than a Band-Aid or ibuprofen. You know, extra strength. That's pretty cool. So I thought that was really impressive of the birch doing that, wigwas. Another thing about the birch I learned that's really cool is that when the birch is coming to the end of its life, you know, the birch is it will take up all of its life force, and it will produce a mushroom on its skin. And I've actually drank this mushroom, and they were good. I got so much energy on it, but I can't drink it all the time, I was told, because the body will grow an immunity to it. But this mushroom is called chaga, and that chaga is really good for your immune system, And there are people that have cancer that will drink that, and other immune deficiencies, problems. So I thought that was really neat. You know, so holy heck, man, this birch really is keeping its promise to help out the two-legged. Another thing about the birch is that we have what is called, how do you say that now? Stigun? I can't even remember how to say it now. My brain is getting tired. But you can actually take that leftover chaga, use it up into a tea, and then you can actually, whatever has been used up, you can take that chaga and cut it into like bacon strips. And then you soak it into a birch ash, and water. Give it a quick boil. And then it will make that chaga nice and flexible, once you dry it out and pound it up and all that. And you could drop a little tiny flint, like a spark from your flint kit, fire starting kit, and you have yourself a fire making kit right there. That chaga is really good. People use horse hoof for that as well. Try it with the chaga. It's really good. You'll always have fire in the bush. But you got to prepare that stuff before you go out in the bush, It's not easy to make in the bush. And so I'm working, what am I working on here? Let's see. Okay, we got the head, we got the feet, we got the belly coming out slowly. His back here. I like this. This is cool. Got to round the ears a bit more. Let's come along, So one of the best things about birch, wigwas, is that it is one of the best. I don't know what it is about wigwas, but carvers love it. You make kuksas, you make bowls, you make spoons. It's such a good wood to work with, You know, I'd love to hear your comments about some of you carvers out there who work with birch and why you choose birch. Is it because it's traditional? Is it because it's commonly done in your area? I don't know. I'd like to know what you guys think about it. I'm just doing a quick little touch-ups here, just trying to round his belly. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting into the wood, and I'm kind of twisting my knife up, so I get that little nice curve in there, you know, like that, and I get a little protruding belly. Belly. It almost looks like a beer belly. No, it's a food belly. Yeah. So that's the story about the birch, guys. Grandma and the birch tree. In the comments, write out what you think about that, You like that story? Yeah, that's a good story. Old Ojibwe Joe told me that story. And I've been talking that story a long time now, sharing that story. I'm just touching up here and there and just going all the way around, making micro cuts here and there. It's nothing fancy, I'm just trying to figure it out, what I'm doing here. I don't even know. I'm just having fun. Yep, I'm going to round this part off here. Whoops. Now, if I continued further cutting up, I would have had a big sliver and I would have lost his backside. So I'm going to go opposite. Once you start working with your wood, it tells you exactly what you need to do, It'll say, don't do that. This is what's going to happen. Or, hey, that feels good. Yeah, you keep doing that. You know, the wood tells me this stuff. That's if I pay attention, right? And you see what I mean? Big slivers? Look at that. Boom. But I wanted that. So you can make the slivers work for you. Take big chunks off, See that big sliver? Easy peasy. And cut. Alright, so I got the cut in there. I gotta do the opposite side on this guy for his for him, So it's kind of an awkward position to do this cut. I'm gonna try and be careful. Get my fingers out of the way. Can you see that? And just a little bit of niche. Oh, it went off to the side. That's okay. We'll go off to the other side. Whoops. We'll try the other side. Try something new. So I did a V shape, a V cut there. I'm gonna try to chip that out. Do a little stop cut and cut into the previous cut and wiggle it out. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just having fun, guys. There's so much medicine in birch, There's so much. It's giveaway ceremony, It's so powerful. You know, you can make medicine out of the leaves in the spring when the leaves start coming out. The buds. I know some old people that harvest the buds. The early buds in the spring for their health and benefit. One of the things I really like, though, that I've heard from one elder, is that birch forests are very sacred. The reason why is because when a birch is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and taller, as it's expanding its bark, it's putting off medicine. It's breathing out medicine. And the old Indians knew, the old Nishnabek knew that was medicine. And they would actually do doctoring ceremonies in a birch forest because they knew there was a benefit, a health benefit to the birch tree. As soon as Jagannath found out about this, the government, they started putting restrictions on birch trees, Not everywhere, but most places they did. Birch tree was the first target. Because, governments like to profit, right? Control. If they control your health, well, you know what? I don't want to get too political. I'm not really interested in that stuff right now, especially when I'm doing carving, right? I don't want to put that vibration in my cars, my work here. My enjoyment. Alright guys, well, I think that's it for tonight. I'm going to make this one a little shorter than last time. I have no idea. Let me have a quick look at this camera. It's not even telling me, how long I've been going. Oops. You saw my eyeball. My old eyeball. My white hair. The old grandpa eye. Yeah, I can't see nothing, guys. Well, I'm gonna call it quits there, guys. I rounded off. I'm gonna carry on with this, but that's what I got so far. Got this little bear, side view. He's got a little belly, a little bum, back of the head. Other side. And this is what his brother looks like that, smiling away. And eventually I'm going to cut here and make two bears. But hope you guys enjoyed this little storytelling with kanzee carving session. This is what happens when I don't pay attention to my work. I was working on a spoon. And snap. I broke it there. But I'm going to keep this, you know. I'm not going to throw it in the fire. Because it's a good remember when, eh? It reminds me to slow down and pay attention to what the wood wants, not what I want. Now, me got to go. That's it, that's all. You all have a good night, and thank you all for coming out, hanging out with me. Kanzee. Happy New Year, everybody. Mama P. Later again.